Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's your boy Light back to with another YouTube video, and in today's video we're gonna be doing a bit of a different video here today, and it's gonna be like a little bit of a let's talk type video. And it's gonna be basically I'm just gonna be talking about two characters kinda here, but more so one of the characters. And basically I'm gonna be talking about the relationship between Venom and Carnage. Basically all the interactions and most like how they feel against each other and everything. So yeah. Anyways, let's begin with this. So yeah, actually, this is personally one of my favorite my favorite fights. I would kind of say it, or like rivalries, and pretty much of all of comics. I think it's pretty cool, and it's Carnage and Venom. Two characters definitely that really make each other kind of a good like two of my personal favorite symbiotes slash Spider-Man villains slash Spider-Man associated characters, and they really just make each other kind of better in a sense. Uh, just at the same time because of uh, both of them are definitely different characters that combine very well and stuff like that. So yeah, let's first of all let's start off with the first like issue slash problem. So the first thing, quickly, is the origin of the character. So if you don't know, pretty much Venom or Eddie Brock is basically a huge symbiote thing that basically fights Spider-Man, and then he's eventually gets sent to jail. And basically, what happened was uh, Venom was still bonded to Eddie, but he didn't know it at the time, and he was in a shared cell with a notorious serial killer named Cletus Cassidy, and it ended up happening. Venom ended up actually uh, basically shooting like an offspring or something. Like basically, a droplet came out of him and spawned and created Carnage. Now, then Cletus Cassidy ended up getting the Carnage symbiote and escaping prison and wreaking basic havoc. He just became more unstable. And I should also mention this too. This fight's gonna be in of course, the Venom 2 movie. Let There Be Carnage. These two will be fighting each other. I forgot to say that at the start of the video, but yeah, that's gonna be happening, and that's kind of responsible for why I'm making this video, kind of. Because I've realized not a lot of people understand who Carnage is and slash like don't understand how they're different and everything, which I'll explain just now too. So that's the reason why this video is being made. But again, then we just covered the origins basically of Carnage. One thing to very much note about the difference between the two is Venom. Yes, he's some would argue a little bit insane. I mean, he. I don't know if he's exactly insane because at times he could be an anti-hero, especially in this specific case, where this is happening. Whereas Carnage, again, he was a serial killer. Cletus Cassidy is a serial killer, and again, the symbiote just makes your whatever emotions just much stronger. And in this case, Carnage was insane already, and yeah, combining the two of them just made Cletus Cassidy even more insane, even more powerful, and just way structurally unstable to the point where he's literally just slaughtering people, and just pure evil. He's like pure evil. Uh, so that's one thing. Venom, in the difference between Venom 2 is like, yes, he does like kill some people and stuff like that, but at the same time, he's kind of stopping stuff. He doesn't really kill innocents, so that does happen. There was actually a time, I believe, in the comics. I remember this from also specifically from the Spider-Man show, where there was a time where Venom and Carnage were kind of like friends-ish, and yeah, if you notice in some most comics and stuff like that, like Carnage, for example, calls Venom father and like dad, basically, uh, which does happen a lot of frequently in the comics and stuff like that. So yeah, in a sense, Venom is technically a father to Carnage, just in a very disturbing manner, kind of. But yeah. So yeah, we covered basically the origins, the differences between the characters and everything. Now let's go into like different, basically, uh, just like the power levels of the two characters. Now Venom is pretty strong for the most part. He's very strong, but the thing is, he is very uh non-immune to sound or fire. Basically, those are his two weaknesses. he does tend to basically break off from his host when that happens. Whereas Carnage is completely different. Carnage's weaknesses, I don't believe he really has any. He's a bit different. I know that for a fact. He's like a little bit stronger than Venom, which prompts me to something else as well. But for the most part, I believe Carnage doesn't really have weakness to that. Uh, Most of the time, Eddie is able to basically tear away Carnage from Cletus Cassidy. So basically, that happens. Uh, yeah. So mostly, like it's very hard to defeat Carnage for the most part. Like I believe there's, I don't know if that's been an instance, but I believe he's taken on like the Avengers and like other Marvel characters where he's able to like easily beat them and stuff like that. And the same thing too, I believe he's able to like even control people with his symbiote and everything. So that's one thing. I don't know if Null gives him that power. I know that does happen, but I can't remember if in his base form he's able to do that. But for the most part, he is able to end up like taking control of people. That just makes him even more stronger too. So that's another thing too that I find really interesting. So yeah, let's go to like what happened between the two. Now, for the most part, these two are technically Spider-Man villains. Even though Venom has become less of a Spider-Man villain over the years, he's became more of like a friend-ish to Spider-Man. I know a lot of people consider Venom to be like Spider-Man's mirror villain or something like that. But in my personal opinion, I think it's a little bit closer to Carnage, just in the sense that, again, they're like becoming more friends-ish over the recent years. And again, with Carnage, Venom actually doesn't really like him. Honestly, he's not a huge fan of him in the sense that can't really stand him. Uh, and also he causes severe, like he's severely insane. So at the same time, you can't just really sit by and watch as he's like slaughtering all these people because really he doesn't care. Uh, so that's one thing I found really really interesting. It always interests me is the fact that Venom does not like Carnage at all, and basically the two fight every time they see each other at all times. Even Spider-Man's even like actually like helps, and the two of them basically take on Carnage for the most part. Interesting note, I don't know if anybody's ever noticed this, but Spider-Man has never really defeated Carnage on his own. If you realize that, he's usually having some kind of help from somebody else, whether it be the Venom, the Avengers, or some other character. Basically, if you've ever noticed that, I actually found that an interesting fact. Is like Carnage has never really been defeated by Spider-Man totally on his own. So that's one thing uh, that I found like interesting the other day when I was searching up some stuff on his weaknesses. Uh, but yeah, another thing too I found really interesting as well is the difference between the two characters in the sense that Venom and Eddie are basically two different people, kind of, in a sense, whereas Carnage is more bonded with each other. Like, Carnage doesn't really come off of Cletus Cassidy really ever. So, majority of the time, if you've ever noticed this, a slight detail is when Venom is talking, he usually says, like, "We are Venom," for example. And you might even notice this even in the movie too. You might notice that Carnage will say "I am Carnage" and not "We are Carnage." So that's actually an uh, interesting fact that I found out, which was pretty cool. Uh, yeah, so that was a pretty interesting fact that I kind of thought of as well. Is if you really notice, so that just showcases like how they're so strong too. That just showcases how Carnage is much stronger. It's just because he's like basically completely like bonded in a sense. So that's pretty interesting. That's what I kind of saw from that. Uh, yeah, but another difference I guess too is in the difference of color. Another fun fact too is actually Carnage originally, he's originally supposed to be black like Venom. Like Venom's color is supposed to be black too, and yeah, it is black. But Carnage, he was originally supposed to be black, but the reason he's red is pretty disturbing. I want to just warn everybody, it's pretty disturbing. That's his blood. That's Cletus Cassidy's blood that's making him red. Originally, that was the reason. I think they kind of deleted that fact in like the 90s. They stopped that fact. He just became red. So I understand why they did that. Uh, so yeah, I understand why they did that and everything. So yeah, basically, that I understood why they did that. Uh, yeah, so I understand too why that happens. 'Cause that actually sounds a little bit interesting, but it's disturbing at the same time. And it would explain why they're two different colors again, but yeah, it's whatever. Uh, Again, this is definitely one of my favorite fights. I think they fight pretty cool and stuff like that. Of course, Carnage and Venom are two of my favorite Spider-Man characters. I think definitely the movie is definitely going to be some interesting stuff to see that happen. But then again, two different kind of people here, and I cannot wait to see the movie. But anyways, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next video. Peace.